All right, let's just jump right in. We're going to talk about a future that honestly sounds like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie. A world where technology makes pretty much everything we need, well, free. So what happens to our society, to our jobs, to, well, us, when the basic rules of economics get thrown out the window?
You've probably heard this one before, especially if you're a Star Trek fan. It's Captain Picard, right? He just says the words, and this machine, the replicator, it just, poof, makes it. No farms, no factories, no Amazon delivery drone. And this isn't just some cool sci-fi gadget. It's actually the perfect doorway into a huge, world-changing economic idea.
Okay, so let's beam down from the Starship Enterprise and get back to the real world. Because that dream, that idea of just creating things out of thin air, it actually has a name in economics. And believe it or not, as our technology gets crazier and crazier, it's becoming a really serious topic of conversation.
And here it is, the big idea. A post-scarcity economy. Now, this is super important. It doesn't mean we suddenly have infinite stuff, right? We're not breaking the laws of physics. It just means that the basics, things like food, housing, energy, they become so incredibly abundant and so ridiculously cheap to make that for all practical purposes, they're free. They might as well be.
And this comparison, this really lays out what a massive shift we're talking about. I mean, our entire world, everything we do is built on scarcity. Something has value because there isn't enough of it to go around. A post-scarcity world, it just flips that script completely. The big problem is no longer how do we slice up this tiny pie, it's what do we do with this endless buffet? It's a whole new kind of problem to have.
Now, if all of this is sounding a little too out there, a little too theoretical, just think about this for a second. You have already lived through a post-scarcity revolution. Yep, it already happened with digital stuff, with information. Remember this? I mean, back in the 90s, if you wanted a song, you had to go out and buy a whole physical CD for, what, 15, 16 bucks? And that cost, it was all tied up in making the actual plastic disc, printing that little paper booklet, and trucking it all the way to a store. And then this happened. Today, what does it cost to make a perfect identical copy of that same song? It's basically zero. I mean, we're talking a tiny, tiny fraction of a cent for the electricity to hit copy-paste. We literally made music post-scarce. So the big challenge now, it's figuring out how to do for physical atoms what we already did for digital bits. So the big question is, how in the world do we get there for everything else? Well, the people who think about this stuff, the futurists, they say we have to solve three huge technological problems. You can think of them as the three pillars of abundance. And here they are. It all comes down to labor, energy, and matter. I mean, think about it. These are the basic costs of making pretty much anything. If you can make all three of those things almost free, then the cost of everything else, it just collapses. Okay, let's take a look at the first pillar, labor. It's pretty simple, right? Right now, stuff is expensive because you have to pay people to make it. The big shift here is swapping out that paid human work for AI and robots. And not just any robots. We're talking about robots that can build things, maintain themselves, and even fix each other, all running 24/7 for basically just the cost of electricity. But of course, all those robots and all that AI, they're gonna need a whole lot of power. And that brings us right to pillar number 2. Energy. See, if we're still relying on expensive, limited stuff like fossil fuels, then everything those robots make is still going to be expensive. The dream here is a massive breakthrough, something like nuclear fusion that gives us clean, practically limitless power. Power that's, as they used to say, too cheap to meter. And finally, we've got the matter problem, the stuff problem. We only have one planet, and there's only so much raw material to dig out of the ground. So the solution is like the ultimate form of recycling. Imagine a technology that can take any kind of trash, an old phone, a plastic bottle, whatever, and just break it down into its basic atomic building blocks. And then you can use those atoms to 3D print something totally new. So let's just imagine for a second that we pull it off. We solve all three pillars. We've got robots doing all the work, they're powered by free energy, and they're building everything out of recycled matter. So what's left for us to do? And this is where the conversation gets really interesting. It stops being about technology and starts being about what it means to be human. No, I'm serious. Just pause and think about that for a second. If you never had to work for money again, if your house, your food, your electricity, everything was just taken care of, what would you do with your time? Would you get bored out of your mind? Or would you finally, truly be free? Well, the optimistic take is that we'd all basically start climbing Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Right now, our economy forces most of us to stay stuck on the bottom rungs of that ladder, just paying the bills, keeping a roof over our heads, just surviving. The idea is that in a post-scarcity world, automation takes care of all that bottom-level stuff for us, freeing up literally all of humanity to focus on the higher things. Community, art, creativity, finding our purpose. This means the whole definition of work it changes completely. It's not about survival anymore. It becomes all about passion. See, people wouldn't stop working, not at all. They'd just stop doing the work they hate. Just imagine the explosion of science and art and exploration you'd see if billions of people were suddenly free to pursue whatever they were most curious about. But there's always a but, isn't there? There's a catch, and it's a big one. It's possible we could build all the amazing technology to make this happen and still fail because our own social structures, our own old ways of thinking get in the way. This might just be the biggest hurdle of all. The single biggest threat might be something we create ourselves, called artificial scarcity. And we see this all the time today with digital stuff. Technologically, we can make infinite perfect copies of a movie for free, right? But legal systems like copyright are specifically designed to stop that from happening. It's really just a way to prop up old business models, even when the technology is making them obsolete. We're creating scarcity where technically there isn't any. So here's how that could play out in this future. Imagine your home replicator can print you a brand new car out of recycled goo, no problem. But the company that owns the car's design puts a software lock on it. Think of it like DRM, but for physical atoms. The machine won't work until you pay some giant licensing fee. The technology is giving us abundance, but the business model is forcing scarcity back on us. And that's where the real fight of the future might be. Not over who owns the mines or the factories, but over who controls the blueprints. So it really all boils down to this. The technology for this world of abundance, it's on the horizon. AI, robotics, clean energy, it's all moving faster than we can even keep up with. But that leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? It's not really about if we can build this future anymore. It's about if we're willing to build the kind of society that can handle it. The real question is, are we?